On today's episode of Impulse, I'm back again with Justin to talk about Star Wars some more, but not just any form of Star Wars. A brand new game announcement, or well, I shouldn't even say announcement, but reveal. That game is Star Wars Jedi
Fallen Order.
It's a new game from the boys over at Respawn, the same folks behind the Titanfall series and Apex Legends.
It's a single-player game with no multiplayer microtransactions, they're saying. I remember back in, I guess it was E3 last year, 2018, they mentioned that there might be multiplayer, but I suppose they're saying nope now. So, that's fine by me. I'm down for some single-player Star Wars.
Yeah, it's surprising that EA are going down this direction, given how they've been pushing for live service games over the past few years. Even more interestingly, just like Apex Legends, which uses the Source engine, once again, they're not using the Frostbite engine with this. They're using instead Unreal Engine 4, which is notable because pretty much every studio under the sun when it comes to EA use DICE's Frostbite, whether it's the sports games to even the recent Anthem and stuff and BioWare's work. All of it's been using Frostbite.
I'm pretty happy it's not using Frostbite, if I'm going to be honest. Just because my experiences with Frostbite games have been mostly okay, but certainly I have had a fair share of troubles with Anthem or Battlefront 2 or Battlefield or whatever that I haven't really had with Unreal games,
Yeah. And, this is based off Schreier's report, but apparently it's a pretty tricky engine to work with.
Yeah. Although you can pull off some pretty impressive visuals and whatnot with it, so.
Yeah, definitely. But, this is, quite literally, the first single-player, focused Star Wars game that we've seen. From, I guess, the new deal with EA and whatnot.
Yeah, which was, 2015 they wrote up that deal, when Force Awakens came out?
Yeah, somewhere around that ballpark. And, this is also maybe one of the first single-player focused games that we've seen from EA in literal years.
Yeah, I went through and I was looking, and I think the last single-player game they had was, the last single-player only game, rather, was Mirror's Edge Catalyst.
That's insane. But according to the press release, it's a third-person action-adventure game set after the events of Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And you play a young Padawan named Cal Kestis, I believe?
That's how it looks to me.
Something like that. He's being played by Gotham's own Cameron. Did a horribly mispronounce his name.
Monaghan.
There we go, Monaghan.
Cameron Monaghan. I've not seen Gotham, so I
hear
know.
It's good. But,
yeah.
It's a pretty interesting premise. It's set after the events of Episode 3 in Order 66. And you are essentially playing a Jedi who is just trying to, stay hidden and whatnot. But I'm assuming, judging by a scene in the trailer, he seems to use his Force powers, which gets spotted by some sort of spy droid, if you see that scene in the trailer.
The trailer kind of gave me a Man of Steel vibe, at least the beginning part of that movie. Where, Superman's going around trying not to use his powers, going from job to job, and then, oops, he saves someone and is exposed and then has to leave. But this, I don't obviously think you'll be trying to stay hidden all that long. The trailer doesn't seem to imply that, and they've talked about how stealth isn't really their goal with this game.
Yeah.
They're looking to have combat be a key focus, and, the power fantasy of having Force powers be front and center.
And that said, I am curious how Respawn will handle third-person, melee-focused action.
Yeah.
Because, they're primarily known as, making shooters. And there is, some hints at maybe some of the direction of that. There's some wall running in the trailer.
Yep.
And, they've done wall running, in Titanfall 1 and 2, and they did a fabulous job with that sort of stuff, so I'm curious how that'll be handled.
Yeah, I'm really curious to just see how the combat gameplay plays out, because, the words that have been thrown around to describe it have just been oh, it's parry and dodging and it's based and stuff like that, or it's based off of Metroid or Zelda influences I read today in an article, and it just seems like all these articles are just pulling whatever they can, just throwing whatever label they can on it, and the terms parry based and whatnot, that could mean anything from Dark Souls to Arkham combat. That doesn't really conjure up a good, or rather a clear mental image of what this combat could be. So I am curious to see. I'm excited.
I hope that the lightsaber dismemberment is a thing.
Yeah, I don't want baseball bat lightsabers where you hit a guy like 40 times with a like a stormtrooper a bunch of times with a lightsaber to kill him, sort of like Force Unleashed.
Yeah, I want to see like some straight up like limbs going flying.
I mean, something closer to the Jedi Outcast, Jedi Academy type stuff, where like you can cut off an arm or a hand here or there, and like normal stormtroopers, once you have your lightsaber, aren't really an issue, but there's other enemies that could, you know, actually fight you with your lightsaber.
Yeah. All that said, though, one of the things that I thought was pretty baffling was a quote out of the press release that states, "When Respawn approached us with the idea for this game, we were immediately supportive. A single-player, story-driven title in the Star Wars universe was exactly what we were looking for, and we know the fans have been eager for one as well." Now that was EA, and I find that really odd, considering they shuttered Visceral and scrapped, I guess, the Amy Hennig single-player focused Star Wars game.
Yeah, there's like, I believe people have been saying that the Amy Hennig game I've heard wasn't enough of a live service, but EA has denied those claims. That's not why they shuttered it. And I've also heard it potentially was having a lot of trouble behind the scenes. It wasn't that good. I don't know. We haven't seen it. We don't know what the official story is. I certainly would believe, obviously, that EA would be pushing towards a live service. You know, perhaps it's a bit cynical, but it's hard not to feel that way.
But maybe after Anthem and some of the recent troubles they've been having, this could be their way to dip the toes in the water again of going back to maybe more of a single-player focused direction, seeing how that sells. And if it sells well, I mean, Respawn are going to be like the next Golden Boys.
Yeah, like, adding on to that Golden Boys thing, it's like, I don't know when Apex Legends and this game were pitched to EA, but perhaps EA thought it was okay to give them the single-player game because Apex Legends was also in development, like, they knew they would have a live service game coming out as well. So
that said, for the people who, want more of a single-player focused, I guess, EA, now's your chance, man. Vote with your wallets.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, if you hate EA in general, then you obviously don't buy the game. But if you would like to see them, I guess, focus on single-player Star Wars specifically, then hey, man, this is your chance.
Obviously, assuming the game is good.
Yeah.
I'm
hoping.
I have full faith in Respawn. They haven't let me down before. From what I understand, this is a different team within Respawn, though.
Yeah.
But even then, I got full faith in that company name. I'll buy it up.
Titanfall 2's campaign, I hear, is one of the best first-person shooter campaigns in years.
Oh, it was a ton of fun.
Yet, so.
Yeah, no, it is a lot of fun. There's some really creative, inventive levels in there that are fun to mess around with. So.
Yeah, it makes me all hopeful for this game. And like I said, it's a really interesting premise.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful, that they try and maybe stay away from, insert character that you remember from the movie type stuff, and it's its own unique story, but we'll have to wait and see.
The only character I want to see in this game from the movies is Darth Vader, and I want him to be a horror villain, you're running, he kills you at the end of the game.
He's the equivalent of Mr. X from Resident Evil 2. You're just trying to escape, and suddenly he just comes through a door, red lightsaber going. You can't fight him, you just have to flee. That'd be something.
Yeah, I'd be into it.
But what do you guys think? Are you guys excited for Fallen Order? Let us know down below. What are your hopes and dreams for this video game?